Ja już wiem, dlaczego Piotr Kraśko jest tak dobrze opłacany. To jest bardzo trudna praca. It's a really horrible job to potentially bring everyone in the room. I insist, please come take your seats. I will start inviting. Yes, yes. Any help with bringing people back? We will be starting. So maybe let's start, bring the panelists on the stage, and this will encourage others to come. A second trial. Okay. There we go. Once again, the great moderator of this panel will be Lucyna Stańczak-Włóczyńska, welcome, chairwoman of BNP Paribas Bank Polska, and the distinguished panelist, Dawid Jakubowicz, welcome to the stage, CEO Kulczyk Investment, Piotr Krupa, CEO and founder of KRUK, one of the most successful companies at Warsaw Stock Exchange, Adam Marciniak, rising star of Polish banking, welcome, CEO of VeloBank. Anna Pruska, CEO of Comarch, the largest Polish software house. And Eva Schmidt, CEO of MPIC. Welcome to the stage. We will be having a mixed language in this panel. Needs a translation from Polish to English. Please raise your hands. Voluntary team, can you please look at the audience? Audience. Can you check if anyone needs translation? If anyone needs translation, please raise your hand now. And with that, I'm giving the mic to Lucyna. The floor is yours.
Do you hear me? Oh, hi. Good morning, still, przepraszam, po polsku mówimy, przepraszam, rozpędziłam się. Witam Państwa.
I'm sorry, I was supposed to be speaking Polish. Hello everyone, welcome to our excellent panel and welcome to this great event. I can see Magda there because I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Magda so much for the day today. The energy that she's radiating and the great visitors and speakers, the credit is all hers, so she deserves a round of applause, everyone. Yesterday we talked a lot about economic transformation, the 30 years, the success. This morning, very dynamic companies, all of them. I'm not sure if we have the right name for this panel. It says meet the new faces of top Polish CEOs, but they are familiar faces. Let me put it this way. They've had numerous years of experience. They've built their success, so I think this is now the right time for you to share your experience. I think what connects the panelists here today is that they focus on technology greatly. And now with technologies being a component of business and value building and success, that makes it more important. So that's the topic. And if we still have the time, we've talked about resilience a lot. And if we still have the time, the question will be, what is the resilience of Polish business? But before I begin, I was thinking I should give you an elegant introduction, but that would take too much time. All the bios are on the agenda. So let me go straight to the key things. Let me begin with Eva. MPIC is a name that's known to everyone in Poland. It's been a brand name for more than 70 years. But then when you look at MPIC's transformation, becoming a new digital business with streaming platforms, e-commerce, marketplace, e-books and audiobooks, and the recent thing I think everyone's already seen, which is you announced that you are going to use biometrics in commerce. So clearly a great achievement. So my question to you, Eva, what's next for MPIC? What sort of transformation are you going through? And to be more specific, how is this technology impacting or changing your business? What are you aspiring to get? And based on your professional career, you've been working in the FMCG sector on many markets. So what do you think is the standing of the Polish business? I'm very pleased to be here. Myself and Adam said that we actually like this part of the title where it says new faces. New faces sounds like we're young, and we'd love to be young, especially having listened to the previous panel. But I'll start with part 2 of your question. Full agreement with Maya. We should be proud to represent Poland, proudly representing Poland. There's every reason to be proud and cherish the things we've achieved, both as companies and people sitting in this room. I think that many Polish sectors are incredibly innovative, so much so that we are part of the world's avant-garde, especially banking. Well, if you've used banking in the UK, you will know definitely that Poland is more advanced, and the same goes for e-commerce and retail, my industry. I believe that this is one of the most difficult and most innovative industries in the countries, not just in Europe, where how is Poland's e-commerce positioned, how are Poland's models and omni-channels positioned, nothing to be ashamed of, really. Plus, we are a truly innovative industry. I suppose it's simply because we have no other way out. We don't have great capital. There's enormous pressure. I think what keeps us competitive is because Polish consumers are really smart in their choices, so there's no way out. All we can do is keep growing and developing to stay on top. And that's what we're doing, while we are competing with Polish and foreign companies. When you look at the top of Poland's e-commerce, it's much different from what you can see in other European countries, because we have lots of Polish players in those rankings because they are so strong in retail and e-commerce. Well, Amazon, when they entered Poland, there was no disruption as a result. They kept asking me what's going to happen now with Amazon on the Polish market. Nothing happened, and that's simply because we are here, we are strong here. I think that if it wasn't for the innovation, for the new technology, our business probably wouldn't have survived. When I look around, yes, I suppose we're old, because we set up our first store in 1948, and our peers from abroad either died, they're gone, or they've risen from the ashes, or they're simply not there anymore. And this makes us a special and proud example, having had such a long history. When I joined MPIC 10 years ago, the question was, when are we going to die? Because the categories and segments we have are in decline, so death is definitely going to come. But since then, we've grown 4 times, we've increased our EBITDA, we have 5,000 employees, making us a leader for omnichannel and e-commerce and retail in Poland. So really a good example of what Polish companies can do in these very difficult industries with low margins, but we can successfully compete with the big players. The innovations, including technology innovations, that was the only option for us. So take the example of biometrics, when you pay through your eyesight, right? So Marta, it's a great project we'll be running together, really fascinating. But this is a small example of what we do, because it only relates to checkouts and different forms of payment. Seems like a small thing, but it's a good example to explain why we do it. First of all, it's because Polish customers are super smart and they expect a seamless customer experience because we're not a discount store. So we have to excel on customer experience, where we have to eliminate those points that may, well, perhaps not negatively, but positively influence people's experiences. This is what makes them loyal. This is why they keep coming back. And this is a way for us to increase our productivity. It helps us to better manage our costs. We are more efficient with the time of our workers, so they can create value added rather than engage in the simple tasks. Plus, it's not like one innovation will turn around your business. For example, the checkout process. We've been innovating for years, starting with the Game Changers, which is our mobile sellers in the stores, and then self-checkout. In some shops, they represent 70% of all transactions with no employees involved, all the way to mobile payments, and that's not really picking up in Poland, really, even though you might think that it's such a convenient way to pay. But now we're moving on to paying with your eye, and I am a great believer in this because this is so convenient, especially for young people. So I think biometrics will dominate the scene, at least in this part of our business.
So in summary, and trying to answer the question, well, innovations, they are in our DNA and in the company's with long history. There is no other way out. There is no other way forward for the companies in Poland on such a competitive market. So we need to implement innovations in the massive way, but I think that we are now at the forefront of in many sectors globally, not only in CE, not only in Europe, globally. I hope I answered your question. Yes, you did. Thank you. Yeah, we are trendsetters. I hope that our young generation will keep on using Empik as the lifestyle brand. I'm also interested whether Anna is sharing this optimism. You provide technical solutions. Comer, it's a kind of a success story of Polish transformation. Your company is 30 years old. You have a footprint across Europe. I've seen that you are looking at Asian markets. You are an important partner to the banks and also to the public sector. And two questions to you, really. You took the role of CEO this year. Well, it was last year. So we see an example of succession, generation succession. And I would like to hear your opinion on how you see the succession. Is it a revolution or just continuation from your perspective, what it looks like? And the other thing about being innovative. I wouldn't want to add a bitter taste to this fantastic optimism. I will do that. I will do that. If you look at the innovation index in Europe, then we are not rated high there. It's about investments in R&D per GDP. In Europe, there are countries which have proportions 3 times higher compared to Poland. And you have this tough dilemma, how to invest, how much to invest, where to invest. And there are so many solutions available, difficult managerial decisions. So from the perspective of your business, what is your take on it? A lot of questions in one. I'll try to address all of them. So I'll begin with saying that the company is over 50% of revenues from exports. from our products sold outside. And we are present not only on the banking market, but also in telecommunications, health, in public sector, in SMEs sector, and in services. Now, talking about foreign markets, we are present in all across the world. We are in Asia, in the US, and in the Middle East. We have our offices in many countries in the world, and it's been like that for many years now. And also, well, we are technological companies, so 22% of our revenues is investing our R&D, which means that we develop our own solutions, but also we invest in the existing products. As the succession, well, the key to success here is an early presence in the company, earlier involvement, and the awareness of the organization. Because if you simply enter into the business from the scratch, even if it's a family business, then it's very difficult. I started my path from shoe polishing. When I was a student, I was simply carrying the boxes with hundreds of documents, and I was working to the, and nobody really knew that I'm a CEO's daughter. So I went up through all the levels in the organization. And when I started to do it, I knew what I'm going to do when I grow old, and when there are a lot of managers who've been working in the company for 10, for 20 years, even more. So it was easy to me because I knew the people. So to understand the organization and to have insight into the sector, into the business, is very important. And also respect to the predecessor, to what was done, and also the willingness to learn about it before you make some changes. So it was more like evolution in my case, with a lot of humbleness. Now, talking about innovations in Poland. Of course, we are a very dynamic society, full of energy. We develop very well. But in the beginning of the transition, we made this mistake. Our main competitive advantage was cheap labor. And we never invested, we never wanted to invest in innovations. Now it's a gradual process, what we are seeing now. And at the background of the European Union, well, there is a Digital Europe program and a strategy for 2030. In Poland, some 85% of services in public services will be offered online, which is great because it's really close to the European Union average. But when we look at use of AI technologies in companies, it's only 3.7% uses it compared to 8%, which is a European average. And the objective for us is to be 10%. Now, cloud services, 19% of Polish companies use clouds compared to an average in the European Union, which is 34%. And the objective for 2030 it is 75%. So 75% should be using cloud services. So there is still a long way for us to go. But the situation is not dramatic. When I was thinking about today's panel, I remembered that recently I visited Japan and I was talking to our customer. He was telling me about their process of a public service. So the beginning is that a citizen will first go to a wardrobe and they take out a stamp. It's a simple stamp, like, you know what the stamp looks like. And on this stamp, they have their family seal. which is an identificator of this person, and they go with this physical stamp to the office and they stamp a document. And this is how you can get documents. So our 85% offered online in the public sector is not a bad result. So even highly developed countries like Japan, they remain quite back. They are lagging behind. So, but still we have a lot to do. And talking about Polish companies, in majority, they can afford, only the major companies can afford to invest in major companies. And SMEs, they are lagging behind. So there is room for improvement, definitely. Thank you so much. I believe it's a very important and very valid comment. We see that we have a gap in our ecosystem, which these are SMEs, which out of thousands of reasons, maybe insufficient access to knowledge or other priorities, or simply fighting to survive, the technological development in NI or in sustainable development, because the statistics are quite similar. So something can be the reason of it. So the appeal to the previous colleagues, we should be targeting our partners from the mainstream, so that they are also, so that they participate in this technological revolution. Now I want to ask a question. Well, we have two people from the financial sector and the banking sector. This is a success story. We are a very competitive sector globally, and technology is part of DNA in every bank. But the financial sector, widely taken, this is an ecosystem with different funds, capital market that we heard about yesterday. So Piotr, to you, maybe you would like to comment. When we are talking about familiar faces, Piotr is a walking history. He is built up from the scratch. The debt management, which is now more in other countries than in Poland. You are winning tenders across Europe. You're also a technological company. You have introduced KRUK to the stock exchange with huge success, and you are a very active player of the financial market. So now, from this perspective of financing, well, we heard earlier about the appetite for stock exchange entry. Well, here, this part of investing is very important. Well, it will look differently for startups, for companies which do not generate revenues. And the story is completely different for companies who have a good position on the market. But still, I would like to ask you for a comment about the Polish capital market. Tell us more about it, availability, competitiveness. When we look at a larger European scale, then Europe is fighting, has problems with capital markets. It's not integrated, and capital flows out to the American market. But is financial market in Poland a good partner to fund innovations? Hello, everybody. Good morning. I'm so happy that I have an opportunity to be here. To me, it's important. We are in a cradle of solidarity trade union. Everything started here. I'm 52 years old. I was 17 years old when all of it happened. So I remember the previous political system. I come from a little village, little city in the Silesia of 3,000 people. Today, I employ more people in our company. And 25 years ago, when I started KRUK company, the capital was a problem. But in my case, luckily, We had 1,600 zloty, some gifts from the wedding party, and it was the entire equity. It was 1,600 zloty. I remember a dollar. It cost 4 zloty, so it was almost 400 zloty. And my partner borrowed 1,600 zloty from his father. So we had 3,200 zloty. It was our equity, okay? It's important in this story because 10 days after we have registered our company, we paid the first social security contribution. It was 730 zloty each one of us. I remember it. You remember things like that. And so we met capital market really quickly because the company, well, you know what KRUK was doing. Well, to begin with, we are cleaning after all those modern banks who provide thousands, hundreds of thousands of loans and financial products. And they are doing but at the end, something goes really wrong and something may be a problem. And then these people, our customers who have debts, and they have an issue with paying back their loans. And we are the debt collectors. We are, I don't know whether we have the analysts here. I don't know whether everybody know what we are doing. We are a huge retailer, maybe not yet like Empik, but you have over 12,000 customers. It's a lot, right? 12 million customers, I'm sorry. And what we are doing, we are helping them to restructure the debts and to help them to pay it back. To do this business, you need to have the operational engine, but also you need to make this analytical machine which will support you. And also you need to have money, the third thing. So now getting back to your answer about the capital market in Poland. I'm an entrepreneur and I have experienced cooperation with private equity. We had here colleagues who are somewhere on the market and who operate within private equity. After I established my company, after 4 years, I was 29 years old then. And I remember private equity fund got to our company, as at that time, no investor wanted to give us money. We were going to banks and please borrow, lend us money, and for this money we will help the other bank to restructure bad debts. So we were too small to issue bonds. So we looked for private equity. We did not know that we are startups because this word was not known yet. We were 29 years old, both of us, and when the people from private came to us from the big world, well, it's a funny story, but it's a real one. My colleague, after one of the visits of the private equity, said, "Tell me, have you heard? They want to pay $1 million for some of our shares. Have you heard it?" Yes, I have heard it. It was a shock. We were not aware what value we made. And half a year later, we had a transaction with private equity and they paid us $22 million. My colleague, when he was 29 years old, he got half of it. I got the second half. He said that he's quitting. He wants to get retired at the age of 29. Why would he have to keep on working? And I promised to this private equity that I would stay a year, maybe 2 years, and I would help them with the business. And this is how the private equity, it's an American, it's enterprise investors from the US, one of the longest private equity on the market. And this is how the American pensioners, they made so much money on it because enterprise investor, when they did exit, they collected 10 times more. And we are now on the stock exchange. I promise I'm almost there. So we are on a stock exchange in 2011. This is where we got the entry. It was, maybe some of you remember, it was a period that everybody believed that the capital market would be only growing, would be wonderful in Poland. Poland would be a financial hub. It didn't happen. It was not the case. It did not grow. It shrunk. And more companies leaving the stock exchange than entering it. But we are there. KRUK is too big to take it down. I was trying to do that, I promise. But capitalization of KRUK is over 2 billion euros. So out of 1,600 zloty, now capitalization. Oh, I forgot to tell you. I learned that if I was born later, I would be also a unicorn, but I had no idea. So 2 billion euro capitalization, it was too little because there are some additional definitions you need to do it. I don't remember really, but I'm a classical entrepreneur. And we are on the stock exchange. We are a big issuer of bonds because we need a lot of financing. Last year, we have invested 3 billion zloty in 1 year only on our new projects. And slowly but surely, we see that we are filling in almost the Polish market. And I'm talking to them, and they tell me, no, but you have met our limits. What limits? Well, because we have limits. You are a big company. We can't lend it anymore. We can't buy your stocks because you are too big. So last year, we had the first issuance on this Nordic market, 150 million. They bought the stock. So we are moving, we are shifting towards other markets. We still hope that the company would grow, and the company like ours will be able to have financing from the stock exchange. I'm not very enthusiastic about the stock exchange. I appreciate it because we wouldn't be having financing without it. It's important, but I don't know about the future of it. So if my colleague from MPIC is wondering whether to get public or not, just make a thorough analysis. Don't take this paradigm that you would love the stock exchange. Just be slowly about it.
Well, thank you for that. I don't want to start the topic. Should you be listed in Poland or not? Well, the answer is simple. It depends. Because I don't want to end up in a dead end. But anyway, thank you so much for sharing your super interesting story. I think at the end of the day, it really is optimistic, but I think it only goes to show the importance of the financing ecosystem, access to capital. Now with the investments and now with the recovery plan opening up, I think it's all hands on board from the financial ecosystem, both from Poland and outside Poland. We want foreign investors to be here, to come here. While the stats are quite good, but it's still not enough. Now over to you, Adam. You are the star in the banking sector. You have been over the last 18 months. Let's be clear about this. But you are operating a bank which is undergoing the resolution procedure. But what you got is a great bank with a very competitive brand. And I can say this from the perspective of another commercial bank. In the audience, your son is here, and he should be very proud of his dad. The banking sector is super modern. It uses AI, generative AI. All of these things are being tested and used by the banks in every single part of your business. It's marketing, onboarding, recommending, anti-money laundering, you name it. So much so that the dilemma is, where would your priorities be? Will they be with the customer, with the processes, with the infrastructure? Do you go alone or do you pick a partner? They are really big and difficult challenges. But my question to you is about foreign investors. Yesterday, we had a representative of your future financial partner, so I understand that Cerberus will join you sometime this year. So if you could share your perspective as someone who's leading a post-transformation bank. What would you look for in an investor? Deep pocket money, smart money? What sort of strategy do you think you should employ? What is it we should expect of the investors? What is it we want them to bring to the Polish market? Well, first of all, thank you very much for your kind words, and thank you for having me. A quick comment. I don't feel like a star. Let me give you a short story. I am not your typical banker. I was a programmer. My first job was as a programmer in 2004, working for PKO SA Bank. So that makes me different from a star. And this is why perhaps certain things come easier to me, and not just because I want to use the technology lever as much as I can, but it's also because we have excellent people, an ecosystem of experienced managers in Poland. Magda, for example, we have Paweł Jakubik, we have some great guys from consulting. Over the last 10 years, we've built several major systems. For example, Google and Microsoft invested in Poland, and the fact that we attracted them to Poland, that was our joint project. Or AID, or remote visits to your GP, that's something we ran together. And during the pandemic, the system of e-visits. I talked to Booksy about this. Can we use their system? They really wanted to help, but that didn't work, I'm afraid. But we built the entire system following Stefan's model, and that really saved many people, especially when distributing vaccines was a critical thing. Now, the fact why the financial sector is so developed, I suppose it's because over the last few years, technology and innovation has been the focus. We have the system BLIK, which is perfect for e-commerce. It's a major payment method, or e-identity plus mobile banking and non-banking services. All of this is helping to educate Polish people. Eva runs an e-commerce business, right? And her customers know what they want. They know what they are entitled to. But they are using their resources to meet their expectations or make dreams come true, or basically to buy stuff. I spent some time in retail and e-commerce, and I understand very well that it's not a piece of cake as a business, and customers know their rights and needs. So what this really shows is that the digital economy is really going very strong. And so the financial sector is financing the economy, which is great. But if something goes wrong, the economy still is growing very well. And things like debt management, and it's difficult to collect that debt, and banks are happy to sell it on. And a unicorn like yours is present here in Europe. But then again, the sector is not doing that poorly. In 2007, when Piotr was in the US, I suppose he's one of the top 10 companies listed on the NASDAQ. Right, back to the resolution process. Banks don't fail very often, do they? And when they do, they tend to be smaller banks, where it's much easier to take them to a full default where they actually collapse. However, the losses generated are not that harmful, or you can do some capital injections and help them with being taken over by a major institution. Now, in my case, this was a big institution with more than 40 billion of guaranteed deposit. almost 1 million customers, and if that bank had collapsed, it would have been a major shock to Poland. If that had happened, the effect on the GDP would have been at least 1%, 1 percentage point less. So that's what the effect would have been. In this case, we had a great team of competent people. What we wanted to build was a value for the investor. We knew that the financial sector is not really attractive for foreign investors because of some problems, such as like the Swiss franc mortgages, and that hurt significantly the banks. And then we have these non-repayment periods, what's referred to as credit vacation in Poland. So we knew things would be difficult from the word go. And we have the financial authority supervision, we have the National Bank of Poland and the Bank Guarantee Fund. So they form a network where they represent the authorities, and we had to persuade them that we cannot employ a standard approach to this. People are not going to wait with their money in the hope that the state will actually pay the money. I mean, you can see whether people trust an organization if they transfer the money in or out. And obviously we knew they would be taking the money out, and after a few months the bank would have collapsed. So we had this idea to build a completely new brand and detach ourselves from the old bank that had lost its reputation. And we wanted to offer a very innovative, cutting-edge solution. And actually that worked. During 18 months, we've attracted more than 300,000 new customers. The bank grew by 40%. That doesn't really happen. And any problems we had before, which actually kept deteriorating the bank's financial standing, those problems could have been solved. And now with the new brand, or the new bank, that was obviously part of the plan. But it wasn't just that, there were other transitions. And obviously, all this was part of the resolution process. However, it was the investors' process that was most important. It began last June. We started with the information memorandum. We asked a query to the market with JP Morgan helping us. There were several other foreign institutions, but then you get to due diligence and you expect to see offers. Well, at the end of the day, there were only a handful of companies, but they stayed on because it was an interesting company with a big potential, and it was cleared of all the problems. Because we are the both the technical and banking sector in Poland, we are quite strong, and we know that we can carry out this transformation. And also investors, when they look at our region, they are seeing us as a region that's now emerging, recovering. Our growth should be higher, inflation apparently under control, costs of financing are going to go down. Hopefully, Piotr will have less work as a result. Obviously, we don't want his portfolio to be hurt. But the investors see this as a market worth investing in. And there is this expectation that the returns may be high. And I'm really happy because I think this is our first M&A transaction in 10 years. And I hope that this will be a good start. On the one hand, the investor has already invested in several banks across Europe. It's the Austrian BAWAG, it's the German Hamburger Bank, commercial bank. There is also SBC in France. But what's interesting is that on the one hand, the knowledge and the know-how, we want to use it and it will come from the investor. But on Monday, I was in London and I met the investor. So this is, the first moves or the first dance before the wedding. Like the transaction is due to start in 2 months. So we have to get to know each other better, don't we? So that investor just happened to be back from a meeting with the French part of HSBC that they had just bought. So we are in conversation, discussing different projects, and they say, it's been such a big problem with the bank. They've been trying to restructure it for 2 years and still no success. It was myself and my colleague, and they asked us, can you help us do it? So yeah, that really goes to show that it's not just a one-sided relation, because in fact, we are seen as a competent financial sector and competent digital economy. And when the wedding is over, as normally happens in marriage, the groom thinks the wife will not change, and the bride thinks the groom will change, and both turn out to be wrong. We may go the traditional way as well. Well, I hope that the couple will live a long and happy life. But I think it was a very important comment from you at the end, because at the end of the day, it's a partnership, and that's the whole point, right? For both sides staying strong and having something to offer to one another. So if you're going to reform banking in France, I'll be happy to advise. And our final panelist today, that's Polish Capital that we want to present, because Kulczyk Investment is a Polish investor. That's Polish money going out into the world. You have a global portfolio. But David, you are here in this room representing industry, right? We have services and banking here, but with such a major industrial portfolio, well, can I just ask 2 questions real quick? As Polish investors' perspective on the geography, which places are better to invest in? Is it Poland or countries outside Poland? You're also very active in biotechnology and startups and tech companies. So quite an interesting combination of the industry and the different technologies. Your portfolio is quite diverse. And now sustainability. We haven't used this word so far. We actually focused on other topics. But if we were talking about investing in industry, then obviously technology will be super important. That's innovation, new materials. But following on its heels is the EU's Green Deal, which could be quite a challenge for industry, right? So if you could share your comments on investments, technology investments in Poland, in industry. And I think ESG tech is something that's close to your heart. Here again, Poland is not a leader in sustainable new technologies. So if you could comment on this from the perspective of an investor, how attractive is the Polish market? And perhaps we can stick to the industry area. And the other thing is sustainability technologies. Is this an interesting topic in Poland? Are there any good picks here for investments in Poland? Yes, hello everyone. Investing in Poland, I think you have to have the right perspective. And I think it was like 2 weeks ago that I made a realization. There was a conference in Berlin, Super Returns, and Kulczyk Investment is well known here. And I love this conference over there because no one knows me there. And we are there a no name, I'm afraid. If you look at what the world is managing, you have all of the world's asset management companies going from Carlyle, CVC, and the BlackRocks of this world that represent $700, $900 billion of different class assets that they manage. So one thing is we need to understand our playing field. While Poland is a great market, but sometimes we have this domestic perspective. We think things are okay. What we don't realize that there are markets outside Poland. Take the example of Kruk, the company represented by Piotr Komark. We have Temetika, used to be the Czech company. We have Syntosis and Elenas of this world. But this is still not enough when it comes to these Polish companies. We think that as Polish entrepreneurs, we feel quite confident in Poland because our contracting partners speak the same language. We have this quasi-African bureaucracy, an excellent tax system, and lots of other oppressive bureaucratic systems, but we feel quite confident, and we know how to move about within the spider's web. But at the end of the day, Poland is a small country. It's 30-something million consumers. Compare it to Africa, Asia, and the US. Clearly, it's a pretty small market. Just as you said, Lucyna, yes, we are a global investor. When I first joined the company 14 years ago, the portfolio was completely different. It was also global, but it was more of a brick and mortar portfolio with a higher appetite for risk. We were using for hydrocarbons, doing offshore drilling in Kenya and Tanzania. We had licenses for oil exploration in Nigeria, etc., etc. But over the last years, we have redefined the portfolio, especially in the previous year, because we've increased our shares in portfolio companies. Let me give you an example. We took Czech off the stock exchange, and it worked. It was different for us than for Piotr, so we changed the name of the company. We invested 2 years ago. We invested into a company that runs an operating system for online merchants. So most of GNV goes actually through us. At least we can see what's happening. And Eva is nodding, yes.
It's a one-stop shop to the companies which are trading on the internet. Well, we are not a marketplace, obviously. We have increased our stakes in the gold mine in Namibia, and we focus a lot on the data processing center in Poznań beyond. So we are in line in this AI trend and increasing volumes of data processing. Nevertheless, my perspective is that in Poland we suffer from gaps in infrastructure for us to be a global player. I don't really believe that we will be producing or that we will provide to the world fantastic AI products. Well, we keep reading in the newspapers about our engineers who work for the global companies, and they make solutions like that. Nevertheless, Polish origin companies are not that many in the field. So now getting back to the foundation, to the basics, well, I think that Poland is a great market. We have a lot to be proud about. We may discuss on many international conferences whether we should be trying to take major projects. And I also believe that the Polish managers, they are hungry for business. They have this drive to do so. And they may give added value in a new way, in an innovative way. And also, we have very well-educated engineers. We are running out of low-hanging fruits connected with cheap labor that we heard about. So I think we may invest. We may invest on other markets, foreign markets. Sometimes, well, capital is a problem. Equity is a problem sometimes. But I know from my experience it goes both ways. Recently, I was talking to one of the top funds in the world about an investment proposal, and we got to the conversation, and they asked us what kind of equity ticket we are talking about, and we gave $2 billion. And the gentlemen, they smiled, and they said, when it's 5 or 10, then come back, because 2 billion is too little an amount to them. So it works both ways. Now, the second part of the question, ESG and the modern solutions. Yeah, that's right. We are, in our portfolio, we have Czech. They now rebranded to Kinetica. There are 109 plants across Europe, and jurisdiction where we operate is not really helpful. Europe is great in making legislation mainly, and now talking about AI, I don't know how much we have spent on AI, but in Europe it will be hundreds of millions of Europe versus Saudi Arabia, hundreds of millions. But we have the first AI Act to regulate this area. So we, as traditional business in Czech, we are having problems with the legislation because we have competitors from geographies which are less sensitive to the legal environment compared to Europe. They don't have any issues with CO2 emission, with the carbon footprint. So we need to use modern technological solutions to improve our effectivity. Would it be digital twin to our plants where we can simulate different types of solutions which would improve or not improve productivity, our efficiency. So this is what our perspective is about. Thank you so much. A very valid comment, I think, because you took more European perspective. We hear this dual dynamics on global markets. So aging Europe, over-regulated Europe, which is now pushing on the Green Deal against other much more dynamic markets. We may keep talking about it for hours, but we are where we are, and I presume that we should use all the opportunities that go along. The efficiency is the key to the success, and efficiency in the European Union is far lower compared to the US, if we have this kind of comparison. And at the end of the day, this will be one of the key factors to success. I have 5 minutes left here. I don't know how it's possible. I don't know how much time I have left, but maybe now 2 minutes my question and 2-minute answer from each one of you. I hope we'll make it. Looking ahead and trying to be optimistic but cautious again as well. We're talking about shock resilience. Poland was a country which turned out to be resilient. We didn't have any recession. The resilience was on a good level, but now we live in unstable times, chronically unstable times. Well, geopolitics, supply chains, cybersecurity, and so on, a climate longevity, on all the demographic transformation? Give me a very brief answer, some bullet points. What Polish business should focus on to be resilient also in the future? From the perspective of your businesses, Adam, I'll start with you. A very good question. In the banking sector, we keep discussing on it, not only because of this dilemma of ESG, but we have much more higher problem because we have work close to us, but we know that the steel works are producing to its maximum capacity because they need to produce weapons, and we are talking about planting trees. And IBOR means that I cannot possibly finance armament sector. So these types of dilemma which are now ahead of us, and on politics and, well, in 2 bullet points, we as the economy, we should have sustainable financing with heavy use of our internal capital, so banking financing. Economy should be developing well both in armament and energy transition, and also it's, I love it, this is digitalization on each possible level. The Polish digital economy is of 10%. Digitalized, US 20+%, Nordic countries even higher. So it shows that we have a long way to go to catch up with the leaders, to be able to say that we are using the leverage of efficiency and digital opportunities. One comment to what Anna said, I'll go deeper into statistics. As for the cloud, it's not as bad as you have said. It's even worse because Office Cloud, it's 50% of Polish companies use it, but the real subscription of applications and systems which support this type of business development, apart from Excel, it's 8% only, which shows that the digitalization of companies of key importance to be able to think about the future and also to think about expansion. I can only say that I believe that resilience is the most important word for everybody who's running a business. The other thing, we are much more resilient as a business after what happened in the recent 2-3 years. The day when all the Empik shops were closed, I will remember to the end of my life. And it was a game changer because we have 4,000 people employed with no revenue in the retail sector. So it changed our perspective. And also Empik is one example, and there are many other businesses in Poland which for the recent 3-4 years have strengthened a lot and is much more resilient than before. So I think positively about the future. And we businesses, we need to get ready to new black swans. The reality is not a continuum, and this lack of continuum will stay with us for many years to come. We always need to have a headroom as a business on for EBITDA, for cash flow. We never know what's going to happen. We need to be ready to any type of scenario so that we wouldn't need to make decisions under pressure. And the second thing, this is about being flexibility, so flexible processes, the model business, and technology plays a very important role there. And the third aspect, which I believe in, this is to have an option, different types of options, alternative options, to be able to develop in different directions, to be able to respond to what is happening geopolitically or in business, and to be ready for the new opportunities which come along. So the focus was more important than having alternative options. I think that having alternative options is much more important. For Comarch, to us, the key aspect of survival is innovation. We are a high technology company. We need to fight for it. We need to provide new solutions, new products, and new vision of the future to our customers. All the macroeconomic factors, they are very important. We need to remember about them, but we have no impact on it at all. But we have impact on what we are doing as a company. So to me, the question is how to create the innovation, how to increase it in a company which bases on it. And I think that the success key is that we learn from our customers, we learn from the projects that we deliver. When we implement one loyalty system for one operator, then we receive from them a knowledge about the business processes, about how the organization works. If we are doing it in Next Airlines, then we have even higher knowledge. So if we implement it in BP, in an energy network having gas stations, then we have knowledge from a different sector. We pull in all the knowledge, and I believe we can. So pulling knowledge is what's really important for the entire company, and collecting the knowledge from different sectors where we operate. It helps us to develop new solutions, new products, which we need to deliver to the market to be on top. Like one example is a Appfino platform, which is a fintech developed in a financial sector, but they use knowledge that we have collected from SMEs in RP, because we know what they need for financial services. And this is how we learn how to increase the process, how to motivate people so that they will now want to be innovative. Because at the end of the day, it's not me who is coming up with this new products. The people are doing it. So we need to have good people. We need to motivate them so that they would want to come up with new ideas. How to do it, that's another story. On the level of economy, it is important that the government will not disturb us. We are dynamic. We are dynamic people, dynamic businesses. We've been building on it ever since the transformation, and this is why the success is with us. However, when we look at the old member states in the European Union, I think that what we should not be doing is to feed the cat too much, so that this cat is not too fat, so that it would want to catch mice. If people get too much for free, if they don't need to work to be able to live, to be able to survive, then it's not good. So I think that the government should support the resilience of our country. I love Harry Potter. And Thunderdome once said that the time comes that you will need to choose between what's good and what's easy. So if I have a magic wand from Harry Potter, I, the businessman, if I could say just one wish with this magic wand, which would be about the future and about my business, I would say widely understood competences and quickly learning organization. To me, it's a key. And you need to understand why it's so. I told you that I was 19 years old when the old political system collapsed in Poland. And when I visited Western Europe for the first time, I was in final class. I got my passport and I went to Berlin, West Berlin. And please remember what kind of competencies the Polish companies had when we started, when we were 50, those who are now 50. We started with speaking Russian only and without any possibility to visit the world. So I saw the first free market economy when I was 19 for the first time. So later, now, when I'm an adult, when I'm a businessman, when we started the first companies in the Western countries, because we are now working for 9 years in Spain, we have 400 people there. So then I understood how difficult it is to make business there. So it's difficult from the position of Poland. So how easy, and I agree here with you, that it's easy to say, oh, we are a good player, we can win. We have a football team. And they win competitions, then they go to the Master League and they can't even play one game. So it's also about the business. So the barrier between us, we are flexing our muscles. We keep talking a lot. There is this book, Patriotic Business. Someone has written it. Why? And at the end of the day, you need to go to a different country and try to do business there. It's very difficult. Just like it's difficult to win a match in football. So the competencies are absolutely required, and you need to be humble, and you need to think about the future. And you should stop focusing on Poland only, that we are masters of the world. We are not. No, it's not that we deserve anything. We go to the country and then they run quicker, they operate better, they are better organized, and we can only watch. So the competencies are important, and I envy young entrepreneurs, those who are sitting here before us, because they have completely different mindset in their backpack. So they enter into completely different world. They speak languages, they visited so many countries I've never visited. And this is the competences that they can get. And the final thing now, to us, the older generation of entrepreneurs, we have a certain obligation, because if we don't make it, then people will not follow us. We need to do everything to win in the Master League, Champion League, and to have good results. Well, I will just continue to what the previous speaker said. Well, we are in the business of people management. We manage people. To us, the pool of talent and corporate culture are important. They provide resilience. They provide development. When we globalize our companies, because this is what we are doing at the end of the day, we support our companies, our partners, with JV to go outside the Polish market. And we focus on building up a corporate culture where the best people would use their talents, where with the drive, when they go to other country and see that others are running quicker and they jump higher, they will not come back to Poland with a white flag and say we give up. So their agility, good mindset, and good education, we still have a good drive, and I hope that they will take up the challenge and they will deliver everything. So I'm here in an optimist club. Poland has great opportunity for the future. When we look at what we have done during the recent 30 years, I believe it was really great, and we should be brave also when we look into the future.
Bardzo.
Thank you. I appreciate, because those comments were coming from your heart. It's the start of at least 4 different conversations, starting from the defense industry, education, and generational shift. But at the end of the day, it's about development, innovation, agility, openness to change. And that should be our resilience, combined with the digital transformation. And it's already part and parcel of what we do. Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you for taking the time to share your experience. I found it really inspiring. Thank you. Really inspiring, and I think it linked very well into the previous panels.
Którzy ten projekt.
Closing remarks.
Dziękujemy. Dear guests, We yesterday on a high note, talking about democracy, solidarity with Lech Wałęsa. And we are ending today with conversations about modern, young Poland. I hope that we are leaving all with a lot of thoughts. And before we go back to our daily activities, I hope that we will all take a moment to reflect on what we can do for the country and how we can make it stronger, more resilient, and modern, innovative. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the partners, all the sponsors, all the panelists, and all of you for your active participation and sharing your perspectives and views. And I would like to thank our organizational team, our volunteers, and last but not least, special thanks to our operating team, so to EKF, the European Financial Congress, for doing it together. I also have to mention our sub-team and the great initiator of it all, Magda Dziewguć. Thank you very much. This is our sub-team of the Harvard Club of Poland, Adam Sawicki. Thanks to you. And also a big round of applause for Paweł Wojciechowski. I don't see you, Paweł, but I would like you to show. Okay, a big round of applause. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Ja również, dobrze, in English. Well, even you guys don't know what happened during these 2 days. For instance, yesterday morning we had to rent an electric generator because we didn't have a power at 8 a.m. Today the door was locked and we had to use special, whatever. I mean, we have succeeded, and I'm pretty sure that next year we'll have a good chance to meet again. I invite you already today for next Global Investor Summit. I think you can share with me maybe my opinion that it was successful for all of us, and because well, having team like that with Agata, I think we'll be able to provide you the similar event next year. So please, my last sentence is, if you have any opinion, any remarks, what has happened here, please share this with us, and we'll try to take into consideration your remarks during next year event. Thank you again, and have a great trip back.